So on this episode of the podcast, I spoke to my friend Ross, and Ross and I have known each other a long time, which we get into. And I was supposed to be talking about his podcast and his radio show. And beautifully, one of the great things about this podcast is really Ryan and I just got into a conversation and we laughed a lot and we talked about a lot of things. And towards the end, predominantly, we talk about our experiences of working in care work together. Um, from my point of view, it was a lot of fun to talk to Rossy. He's a great guy and I love him to bits. And if you're listening to this today, you're really just listening to two people having a chat. I hope you enjoy it. And a quick amendment, his husband's name is Ryan. I mixed the names up. Easily done. 2, 1. Hello, welcome to the David Watson podcast. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Dave. Sorry, I was just admiring your counting.
I thought that pause there. I was like, oh my God, he's had a seizure on me. It's gone wrong and we've just started.
Well, it can only go up from now, can't it, really?
This is it, but this is it. So this is the ring. So just to give people a reference, Rossy and I were talking about countings because it makes it sound professional. So what you don't hear on the other side is that I do a counting and then say welcome to, and Ross, like a true pro, paused as if nothing could happen. Right. And the reason you have to do that is because, especially for like Rossy and I, and this happens with other guests as well, you start talking, and if you're not careful, you've actually just started talking. I did a podcast, I can't remember who it was with, and we just went straight into a conversation, and like 40 minutes later, I realised I hadn't done an introduction or anything. Do you know what I mean? So you just so I have to get into the habit of doing these. So it's like, no, stop. Before we start talking, I don't want to be rude. Before we start talking, let me do a counting and do a proper introduction. Otherwise, you don't know where to cut. Because I don't. Do you, when you do yours, do you edit?
Well, no, not really. If I'm honest, no, because I find if I do editing, depending on who you've got in conversation, you just feel as if you like stop the flow of the conversation, and it sounds like very unnatural. So I
Yeah.
try where possible to do as minimal editing as possible.
I don't do any editing at all. Do you know what I mean? I literally, I would just leave it to run. I do the introduction at the beginning, and then it just goes, and it doesn't matter what happens. It's the odd time I've done editing is because of things like the internet's actually crashed or something like that, and you can't just have 10 minutes of white noise.
Some people might prefer it. You don't
know. Yeah, I love that. Oh, thank God he shut up. You know what I mean? So also, where's this new mic? Where's this new mic you told?
Oh well, this new mic is here.
But you're not using it.
I am using it.
So what? Oh, right. So you're listening for. I see.
I've got my earphones in.
I see.
Yeah.
So just for people to know, Rossy used this podcast as an excuse to get himself a new mic.
I did, genuinely.
And he messaged me. He's like, "I've got myself a new mic now because you're on the podcast." I was like, "Yeah, that's right." So we're thinking of other things that can be my fault for him to buy.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say, yeah. If you come up with any ideas, especially now in lockdown, we're buying so much crap. Let's be honest.
I tell you what, mate. You just send me a list of things you want, and I'll randomly message you, and just come up with an excuse for you.
Oh wow! I was going to say you've put me on the spot.
Oh,
Well,
no, you don't have to do it now.
just a bit more money, a tenner a week, bit of pocket money.
I'm just saying, if a thought pops in shed at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're like, I want that. I'll never get that past Ryan. I'll message David.
Oh yes, yeah.
I'll message David, and I'll randomly tag you in something on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, Dave showed me that. Yeah.
And it could be all my fault.
Well, saying that though, I generally have a friend that does do that on Facebook. When you've got like a certain friend that will tag you like in everything. It could be, for example, tell us how you meet. This is my challenge now. And I've got a friend, I won't name him, but I have got a friend who generally does do that. They just tag in like if anything's on offer at like Home Bargains, Lidl's, double club card points, boom, they like tag me into it.
Oh wow. I don't have a friend that. I do have a friend who runs like a group on Facebook that does discounts, codes, and special offers and all that. So if you do you know what I mean? So that always pops up where people's like, "Did you know that this is on offer at the moment?" Or you can use this code or voucher. It's called Brett's Tips and Savings.
Oh, yes. I think you've got me into this one. I think
Oh,
it said, yeah. No,
yeah,
I followed that one on Facebook.
yeah. Brett's Tips or Savings and Tips or something. But I actually
Yeah.
know Brett. Brett and I have known each other for Christ, nearly 40 years. Do you know what I mean?
Well, could you just tell him to get his codes that actually work?
Oh,
Because by the you know, because isn't it? You think, that there is that joy, isn't there? You get a discount code. You've spent 20 minutes on the internet trying to get one, and like, yes, I'm at the checkout, typing it in, and then it's like expired, and you're like, what? How long have I wasted in my life?
you see, that is the reliability of the internet. Just like finding out facts and information. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's like people say,
Yeah.
"Do you research?" Oh, it was on the internet. It must be true. I got this code off the internet. Yeah, it's from 2017.
Yeah, but you don't notice that at the time. There's nothing like on the top of the page where it says this page was put in like 2017.
Do you know what? This never affects me ever because
No.
I don't buy stuff on. I very rarely buy stuff on sale. Do you know?
Oh God, no,
If I
I'm the other way.
Yeah, you see, if I want something, I just look up and try and find. I do try to find the cheapest way to buy it. But if I want it, I just want it, and I won't wait for something to go on sale. I won't wait to try and find a discount code. I'll just shop around and see generally what the price is, and just buy it because I need it, or I
Yeah.
want it. I very rarely need anything, but I
Well,
want stuff all the time.
I was going to say, what has been then like through the kind of lockdown? What is kind of thing that you've kind of bought more of? Because like for me, I've kind of used a little bit like lockdown to kind of go back, and I've kind of been like buying like classic vinyls from like what I used to listen to. So I've been kind of going back and like listening to those albums all over again through lockdown.
Well, you haven't seen me for over a year, nearly a year. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Last time I
yeah.
seen you was I was walking up to Haley's.
That's
Were
yeah.
you in your car?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know? Yeah, I've got a different job now as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Or
yeah,
yeah, because I didn't come to yours because normally I come round yours around Christmas, New Year's time, but because of lockdown, that those parties weren't on. So for those that don't know, Ross is
yeah.
very good at hosting people. What is a pain in the arse is Rossy likes to drink and I'm teetotal, so I'm like the world's worst guest. But I'm great because I always bring booze,
Yes.
but then don't drink it.
That is the kind of people we need at more parties.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Uh,
free booze.
I used to wonder why people would invite me to parties because I very rarely drink, and then I realised because I always bring stuff, and I'm not going to drink it. Do you know what I mean?
But by the time we've had a few drinks, though, no one would know the difference because as you say, even though you've had no drink, you're still kind of like life and soul the party.
I do join in, which is unusual for somebody who's always sober. I don't care about making an ass of myself.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because normally they're kind of sat in the corner. And it's
Yeah,
like, oh God, like avoid that person like the plague. But
yeah.
no, it's like she's straight in. It's like, no, we're doing this.
It's the company I keep.
Alcoholics.
It is, and one of the yeah. So since you've seen me talking of purchases, I've sold my van. I don't have my van now.
Yeah. Oh no.
No, I got rid of that. I've got an Audi TT now instead.
Oh, I've seen you in the Audi TT.
Yeah, so I bought that instead, which is very nice. Um,
Midlife crisis.
oh fucking hell yeah! I've had one for about 10 years. I honestly, I love a midlife crisis. It's my favourite thing. Do you know what I mean? It's I don't know what it was. I don't. It happened well before I was 40, and I'm 46 now, and I just like, yeah. I remember somebody like, oh, I think you're having a midlife crisis, and I was just like, this feels amazing. You just don't care anymore. Do you know what I mean? There was a point like late 30s, you're just like nothing mad. Don't give a shit. You know, and it's the best. If you haven't had, if you haven't had a midlife crisis, anybody, hurry up. It's the best time of your life, and don't ever give it up. I'll blame. I'll be 70 blaming it on a midlife crisis.
Or you could turn it around and you could say that actually, you're just kind of keeping the youthful spirit going as long as possible, keeping the mind active.
Mate, I'll grab any excuse. Do you know? I've no shame in that at all. You know what I mean? And
No.
that was the great thing about it. Is I think this is that part of you that suddenly there's a point. I think. Well, see, I don't. Yeah, because this could be different for me and you because you're gay. So, like, what was
Hmm.
that like? Because you and I are the same age, and I mean, you and I have never discussed this.
Have we not?
No, well, no. This is the
Oh,
funny thing is because I've known you for what, 15, 16.
yeah. Well,
It's
you
about
must have known
15
me.
years. Well, when you were at
Yeah,
Andover, I met you first when you were
that's
working at Andover.
that's it, right? Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
Because
got to be
you
like,
were.
go on.
Oh, I was gonna say yeah, because you were agency. That would have been
Yeah.
about. Oh, do you know that would have been about. That was one. Do you know that's really scary actually? Because that was my first proper full-time job.
That is scary.
Yeah, that was my first. Obviously, I and that was the time I was working two jobs as well back then. 7 days a week. Not I'm kind of grumbling or anything because it's
Yeah.
you do what you got to do, ain't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, obviously, where it's just like me and all that lot. Yeah, God, yeah, it would have been because that was I did
Because
five
what,
6 years there.
that must have been what,
Yeah.
around 2006, 7?
Yes, yeah, yeah. Because I left college 2004 and did 2 years at the main cap. Because it was strange because I started at the day centre when I was there as a bit like you, kind of like agency, kind of going in.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like everything, they kind of said, do you want to go and apply for a job? So, I kind of did because I thought, well, I'm kind of working there anyway. And then obviously, yeah, I got salaried there. So yeah, that was 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've known you 15, 16 years. Yeah. And we've never had a conversation about this.
No, no, we haven't.
I don't think
Strange.
I don't think I've ever said the word gay in front of you. Not
I
really
think you
good. By
have.
the way, Rossy and I
No,
have some strange conversations.
we do. No, we do. But no, no. I think you did. But I was probably a bit drunk at a party. But because even though like, I have a few drinks, I still remember everything. That's the bonkers thing.
Oh no, I don't.
Because do you not? I was gonna say no, no. We did have. Yeah, no, we had that conversation,
Have we?
and yeah, yeah, in a kind of way. And but I don't know. I mean, I don't feel different or anything.
No, no,
I
no.
don't
But I
really.
mean, because in references like 20 years ago, it's not like
Yeah,
now. Like now, if you come
yeah,
out and say you're gay, everybody's expected to throw a celebration party. It's all good.
yeah, yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like,
yeah. No, yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I don't, I haven't spoken to anyone about this. So I'm assuming because of the way public reception is now, I don't know if that makes it easier or not. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say no. I don't know. I mean, back then, as you say, 15 odd years ago and all that, I just didn't think anything about it. But I don't know if it was because I was 18, 19 at the time. I thought, and as Dave knows, I'm strong-willed,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and and do you know what? I think that's kind of what kind of got me through, if I'm honest,
yeah.
because at the end of the day, it was like I don't really care, if at the end of the day. And I still kind of apply this now, but I don't care if you don't like me, but just at the same time, just kind of be nice, be respectful. That's it. Move on.
Yeah,
I don't have to
yeah.
talk to you again, or you know what I mean. So I think, like back then, I think being kind of strong-willed and all that lot. I think that just kind of just got me through it. Really, I was like, I don't really care.
Because it's weird because I remembered in my 20s and like you've known me for a long time and I can come across as
Yeah,
not caring and
yeah,
and I'm more than happy to speak up if I'm upset about something. But
yeah.
you'll be amazed how much I can worry about what people think if I'm going to do something. It's not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if I'm trying to do something and somebody I'm it's quite complex with me because I don't in certain areas of my life I can have a lot of self doubt. Do you know what I mean? So I
Mm,
worried.
yeah,
There was part of me that worried about what it'd be like to do a podcast, even though I'd wanted to do one for a couple of years. And I was nervous messaging you, but I was just like, it's Rossy, he'll be all right. But initially,
yeah.
I was like, I got nervous about asking you on the podcast. Like, well,
Oh,
what will he
really?
think? Yeah, what will he think? But what I'm very good at is, well, you have to do it now because you're scared.
Mm.
That's what I'm good at. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not the confident person that I come across. So if you meet me, I come across as incredibly confident. What
Yeah.
I'm actually good at is challenging my fear. And like I said, I've known you
Yeah.
16 years and was nervous about sending you a message saying, I've been thinking about messaging you for about 3 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
I
I
was
mean,
gonna say,
I had lots of guests. So it was just
yeah.
like a lot of it was timing, but it was starting to play on my mind. And I was just like, right, just message him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, yeah, do it. I mean, I know I said, kind of strong and independent, but it's like I'm not gonna go like, no,
No, but
but
that's it. It's that
but
weird fear of rejection. It's like, would you take me seriously?
yeah, well, yeah, no, of course I take you seriously with it,
But,
because
but that's
yeah,
the incredible thing about self doubt, isn't it? Everyone else is like, yeah, yeah, cool. But in your head, self doubt is a very different story. It's a very different narrative.
yeah, yeah, no, I mean, I think as I was going in regards to being strong-willed, it has got me in sticky situations. Nearly been fired from jobs, as you can imagine. But and let's face it, if I didn't kind of say that, but it was always it wasn't like if I was like strong-willed and in and kind of independent. It was never kind of always for. Oh, well, yeah, I should kind of say, of course, obviously, I do kind of care work, so that
Yeah.
that would be the reason why potential situations where I nearly got fired, because I'd be kind of championing it and challenging the client, for
Mm.
the client's view. um and as you say, still kind of working care now, but 15, 16 years, however long I've been doing it, attitudes have changed. But of
Oh,
course,
Christ,
challenging
yeah.
it, I was going to say, but like challenging it at first, my God, you were nearly fired if you kind of said, "Oh, do you think we could do something, another way?"
Because yeah, so Rossy and I both used to work in the same day center. I was
Yeah.
agency, Rossy was full time. And that was about 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah, that would be about 15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gee.
And please trust us when we tell you things have changed a lot. We both still work in care, right? Things
Yeah.
have changed a lot. But how much of it, this is not where I thought this conversation would be going over, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, no,
It's gone a
no,
bit
this is
deep.
it. It has. It's gone really deep. And
Yeah.
did you have a glass of wine with you, just out of curiosity?
No, do you know what? No, no, there's no wine, Dave. Just
Wow.
Ribena.
This has been the
Ribena.
first deep conversation I've had with Rossy,
Yeah.
sober, right? And is how much of it do you find is still just about not ticking boxes is the wrong way of putting it, right?
Mm.
But we've done a nice leaflet about what it means to be person-centered. We've done about
Yeah.
a nice leaflet about outcomes, goals, and advocating for them. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, this is great. Yeah, so this is the philosophy. This is the push. This is the where we're moving it. And
Yeah.
depending on who's taken over management, depends whether you get that in pie charts or flow charts. Because everyone likes to put their same little spin on the same speech, and then the next day when you turn up for work, sorry, do I sound cynical here?
Well, I'm now in the management level, Dave, so be careful where you're going with these pie charts, all right?
Yeah, but I'm a manager as well now, so I'm still complaining about those above.
Yeah.
But
Same.
then when you go to do something, they're like, oh no, we're not doing that, and you say, oh yeah, but we'll just throw a name out there, little Johnny, say, but that's what Johnny wants to do, and Johnny's communicated that. We've used the communication tools. Yeah,
Yeah.
Johnny can't do that. But he can.
Yes.
I think we can make this happen. I said no. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
nothing's fucking changed, really.
No, no, I was going to say no. We still get a little bit of that with and I've got to be careful because I'm still in this job, but across kind of care, there's
In
always those
previous
people.
roles.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say in certainly more in previous roles than this roles, because where I work now, independence is really at the focus of what they do, which is really good. But yeah, there's always like in like the other roles, there's always been like that one person that's got like those institutionalized views, and despite like how you kind of push it or kind of push it forward, it's just like no, they can't do this, they can't do that.
Yeah.
And that's when, as I said, those conversations have come in, because it's like, well, let's kind of try it. But as you say, back then, you'd just be kind of looking like, oh my God, troublemaker kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I would say though back then a lot of it was people would just trying to get by, doing the best they could, because there
Yeah.
wasn't the mental health awareness that you have now. There
Mm.
wasn't the disability awareness you have now. There's certainly, as much as people will tell you it's underfunded, and it gets a lot more funding than it did 15, 20 years ago. A
Oh
hell of
my
a lot
God.
more,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Oh well, yeah.
You know.
I can certainly see that in the profession compared to, as you say, to the job in
Well, I
Amber.
can remember a time when if you wanted to use a pen, you were buying your own. Do you know what I mean? You had to literally, it's
Yeah.
like going back to school. You had to bring your own stationery in.
Yeah.
You know, you weren't getting it. And actually, we won't name names, but do you remember a place where you and I both worked? Um,
That was what I was thinking of.
yeah,
I'm sure I'm
and you
thinking
used
of
to have
that.
to sign for your pens. You used to have to go into the
Yeah.
office, and if you wanted something at the stationery office, you have to sign for a pen.
Yeah, and then you had like the receptionist who
Yeah,
retired whilst I was still working there. Like they were absolutely like miserable as sin, and they just kind of like just opened up the book, didn't they? And they're like writing everything down like 4 pens.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? And you're almost
Yeah,
expected to measure the ink left in the biro and hand it
yeah,
in at the end on a Friday. Right, it's your last shift. I want that pen back. How much ink have you
yeah,
used? You better not have been
yeah.
doodling. If I find you've been doodling on council paper.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. It was all right. The clients were doodling on the council paper, just not us.
Yeah, it is just the ludicrousy of some of the things that they used to put. And that was, I think, one of the hardest things is, I mean, a lot of those people have retired now, but they came from a
Yeah,
very different era and
yeah.
things got modernized, but it's very difficult to modernize people.
Oh, totally, totally. But yeah, I mean, the worst thing, and as you say, going back to like the funding, the cuts, the worst thing was one day they literally had hardly any staff, about like say two, three of us, and literally we had like an all day disco. That's all they did all day.
I
No,
remember those. So we're short
who wants
staffed.
to?
What should we do? We'll have a fucking disco. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Oh, who wants a disco at 9 o'clock? Who wants a
yeah,
disco at 9 in the morning?
9:30. Yeah, 9:30 in the morning. You've had registration and all of that. Oh,
Yeah.
damn, we're short staffed, and all the clients have turned up. Right, get the disco on, and
Yeah.
of course, because funds are low, it's not like you have a huge variety of music. So
That's
you,
right.
so to say
Yeah.
that you're listening to the same song 5 times is an understatement. And if
Statement.
you've had a rough year,
That's
this is your 6th disco day.
and it's always like ABBA or something. That's probably where I get my loathing of ABBA from. Just through the fact, 5 tracks. That's about it on the disco.
ABBA, honestly, were one of my all-time favorite bands. I was a huge ABBA fan. I loved ABBA until I started working at day centers. Because
Yeah.
especially when they start doing karaoke with it as well.
Oh yeah.
Because because karaoke and ABBA in day centers, it's
Hmm.
painful. You know, and
Karaoke in a day center is painful. Full stop.
but when it's your favorite, it's like one of your favorite bands or one of your favorite tracks. There's been many a drunken disco night. Where you've got up to an ABBA song and everyone just goes nuts because it's just fun. Nobody takes it
Yeah.
seriously, which are the best nights. And then you spend too many days
Yeah.
doing. The one that
Yeah.
stands out for me. I'd had a birthday. It was my birthday, and I'd met uh, all the girls that we used to work with and some of my friends in an Indian in Ainsbury. And anyway, let's just say it was about 1:30 in the morning by the time we left. Right? Luckily
Oh.
for me, I had a dental appointment the next day, so I wasn't pressed to get up, and I didn't have to get to work till about 10:30. Unluckily for me, there was a staff shortage, and they dumped me straight into disco karaoke for the day
Yeah.
with a hangover, a screaming
Oh.
hangover, and it was
Gee.
disco karaoke. And as soon as I arrived, a certain person, I won't name names, Emma, um, literally was like, let's get ABBA on. You like ABBA, don't you, David? And for the next hour, I had day center clients screaming into a microphone
Mm.
with the volume turned up higher than it needed to be, or normally would be, while I
Yeah.
died on the day after my birthday, and literally died.
Yeah. Yeah.
A great
Yeah.
amusement to everyone else.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, of course. Of course. Yeah. No. ABBA is just one of those that. Oh yeah.
But
I
now
mean, you know,
you hear a song now and you still get a shudder from those days.
I do. I mean, I've still got service users that still like ABBA. So you know, they'll be walking around whilst I'm at work and doing what I need to do, and then I'll hear like ABBA from the iPad, and as to say, inside they're like ABBA. Like, you know, they'll come
Yeah.
up to you really excited about ABBA, and you know, inside you're just like, oh, just groaning nonstop, like, oh, you're just
Because inside your own body organs are trying to strangle themselves. Do you know what I
yes,
mean? Your
yeah,
kidney
and
is
you're
leaning
thinking,
over and trying to give out liver punches to the liver. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, this will be less painful.
yeah, and it's like every time it's like, oh great, Mamma Mia! Have you watched the film? Have you watched the musical? It's always the same. It's like, yeah, it's just...
This is one of the greatest talents for anyone that's ever. If you're listening to this by some random chance that somebody listens to this, right, and you're about to apply for a day centre, the only
yeah,
skill you actually need to understand is the ability to sound surprised in the world's most repetitive cycle of a service
yes,
user coming to tell you for the fifth time that day, well, not tell you, ask you the same questions while listening to
yeah,
the same song, watching the same videos, the same
yeah,
films, and that'll be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday
yeah,
for the rest of your career. Right?
yeah,
So if you're
yeah,
20, you've got 40 years of this.
yes,
Now, times that by 20 service users a day, right? And the trick,
yeah,
for those that are good at the job, is to sound
yeah,
surprised every single time. Like you've
yeah,
never heard it before. And
yeah,
do you know, that was my
yeah.
favourite part of the job.
What? Just having to be upbeat.
Well, just that,
Just,
no, tell me all
yeah,
about it. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Especially if I was with a group of other support workers and stuff, because they'd look at like, you bastard.
yeah.
And I would say, could you play that for me? Sing it for me. Go on.
Yeah,
Oh, this will
yeah,
be great.
yeah,
And you'd get everyone else. And have you heard this? I
yeah.
loved it. It was the best job I ever had in my life. And I know it sounds like a horror story, but you can turn it into like you're just your own personal playground. Because
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
was so unprofessional all the time, and you can get away with
yes,
it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah, yeah. You generally could in the places we used to work.
You know, but the service users loved it
Yeah,
because
yeah, they did.
you know, because you were actually having a laugh with them and a joke with them,
I
and
was
you'd
going to say
include them in everything.
yeah, I was going to say it was showing the more kind of humane side because as well as like the caring side, they actually get to see you as a
Yeah,
person, wasn't it? Which is normally what they don't get because you know you've probably seen the amount of stuff like I've seen kind of over the time, but there's some that have like really got good intentions, but the people skills just are not there at all.
but there's some is because the other thing about it is some of them just hate life. Right? Some of
Yeah,
the let's be honest, some of the people we've worked for had either given up or hated life. And
yeah,
the good thing, if you're one of those people, it does enable you to not get involved in the job because you can just ignore everyone because they don't have the capacity to complain.
exactly. Oh, and you can hide behind risk assessments, especially now. Risk assessments,
Yeah,
paperwork, you name it, hide behind it.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's 1,001 ways you can get out of doing anything for a living and still getting paid, and day centers was one of them. You know,
Mm,
and you could just literally the you could just sit there and let them talk to you and go and just nod,
yeah.
and the service users were no different. You know, or you could turn up like me and say, "Tell me that again."
Yes.
Let's.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when I used to send a certain person over to the manager's office where all the managers would be in the middle of meetings? She'd come over. A certain person would be very excited. I'm not going to say the service user's name, but they'd be very
I was gonna say,
excited.
I don't think I do. I
Oh,
don't
right. So
think
one
I
of my
do.
favourite games to play, right, was a certain service user would always be very excited, and every day would have something they wanted to show you. So every day I would always be very excited when they come to show me. But whenever there was a managers meeting, like the managers from Wiltshire had come in, and they would be in the middle of a meeting, I would explain to said service user that they would also be very excited to see what it was she was showing. what this new picture was, or what this new game was, or what this new thing was on her CD Walkman, or whatever it was. And I would be just, are you sure? I don't think they've got a sign up there saying "Do not disturb." They're not talking about you. It's absolutely fine. And off she would go, proud as punch, and would go in there and interrupt the meeting and get everyone to look at her nice, shiny new picture. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I'd even, if the office was free and I'd get away with it, I'd even laminate the picture for her to make it look more special.
I was going to say, this is like a guide in regards to how not to do care jobs, you know.
Well, I'm going to sit back on the fact that I probably had the most popular sessions.
In fairness, you probably did. You probably did. Yeah. And you know, I mean, I know obviously we've said about day centers and that, but we actually had obviously some good times there, because we had some staff towards when I left, and we started to like branch out into doing like out of hours activities, which was always like a no. It's like days, no way. And yeah, you know, we had all sorts of Halloween discos and prom nights and everything. But the sad thing was, when I left, it all stopped, which was a bit sad. I felt, you know, sad for like the guys after, but hey,
yeah, I mean,
it was a good time while it lasted.
I mean, I remember some of the drama shows that were put on, and I know for a while they carried on, but then I think they stopped as well when, well, basically all of us that started in that group had left. There was no one, you know, because that's what I mean. There was a period for a few years when we produced some really, really good work.
Oh yeah, there was.
You know, I enjoyed that. That was, to this day, that was still my best job ever.
Really, I was going to say, it was good. However, you know, as I say, I know we talked about obviously like meeting and all that lot, but you know, I know we laugh always about this story, but you're going to have to say the story in regards like the first day when obviously like you were told, right, that's it, we're going out into town.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. So this is right. The day centers that you and I kind of learn our ropes on, if you like, right? And this was definitely before risk assessments were even in the dictionary. Nobody had even heard of. Nobody had ever put the two words risk assessment together.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
Nobody in the English language had ever used that in the same sentence, right? And this was especially so at day centers. So this is my very first day at a day center. And do you remember initially they asked me to work with a young man who had really severe autism and very serious communication disabilities. And and I was just like, well, like literally, what do I do with him?
And a total baptism of fire.
Yeah, and I was not equipped to do anything. And luckily, one of the other agency guys who was used to working with him had a very good rapport and relationship with him. Said, "Do you want me to take him?" He said, "Because he says, I don't know why they've asked you to look after him. He doesn't know who you are." And I think that it was his job normally to do it, so I think he was just happy to have his job back. Do you know what I mean? And the manager had already left the room and didn't give a shit anyway. So at this point, I was then handed over to your good self, and your job was to look after me. And I think we took 4 service users on a bus into Andover, public transport.
We did.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the service users in particular was well known for kicking off in Tesco's, in the centre of Andover, the Tesco's in the centre of Andover. So Rossy did quite rightly go through all of the procedures, all of the conversations. These were the risk assessments that you'd done yourself. Prepped everything, and we all went into the shop.
It was bulletproof. Nothing could
was.
Go wrong.
There was, every box had been ticked, every T had been crossed, every I had been dotted. Nothing was missing, right? And we then we got to the shop.
Yeah.
It went well. She knew what she was buying. She was happy with everything. And then we got to the counter.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the lady actually paid her a compliment or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually said something like, "That's a nice cardigan you're wearing," or "That's a nice jacket," or something.
Yeah.
At which point the she-devil came out and she was like, "You fucking stinking whore bitch." And it's just like, and I'm like, this has gone wrong rather quickly. Just like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I just heard a lady say, "That's a really nice jacket you've got on,"
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure someone's just gone, "You fucking stinking whore bitch." And,
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
and I was just like, I did not see that escalating. And
Yeah.
at that point, we then managed to get everybody out of the shop, having
Yeah.
paid for their goods, because that's the other thing. The other free
Yeah.
service users still want what they've got,
They still need
want
to go through
pay.
that checkout.
Yeah. The said problematic lady is now trying to figure out how she can burn the shop to the ground with everybody inside it. Right.
And it was actually a Waitrose as well.
Yeah.
It was a Waitrose as well, so it's even more.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Waitrose. Sorry, not Tesco's.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
apologies to Tesco's. It was Waitrose. Right?
Yeah, it's Waitrose.
You know. So at this time, I've now gone to trying to manage free people, while you try to remove anything potentially flammable, ignitable,
Yeah.
and steer her clear of any member of the general public, because she has literally turned into a possessed demon. And is hissing.
She's gonna thump someone.
Yeah, is hissing, spitting, kicking, just generally is just like, fuck.
Yeah.
And the weirdest thing is, and you get used to this in care work, they are the sweetest, nicest people.
Yeah.
And then the shadow turns and the clock ticks.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I've just been slashed across the throat by Mrs. the nicest person I've ever met in my life. And their eyes have gone bloodshot and they're popping out like a demon.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're still in Waitrose, right? You have the said possessed demon under sort of lock and key, while incarnating like affirmations that are supposed to undo the casting spell or whatever, and try and bind her with salt around her to protect the rest of the public before we unleash Satan on the world. And we then got to get to the bus station, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to get the bus back.
Yeah, so we got to get the bus back.
And I'm going, Dave, this is never going to work. You're going to have to get on the bus, I think, on your own.
Yeah, so I then, with 3 other service users who don't really know me.
No.
I don't even actually know where we're supposed to go.
No, that's true. I just said to you at that point, when you get to the pub, press the button and get off.
And this is the truth.
This
right?
is true.
So I get on a bus with 3 service users who don't know me, and I don't actually know where I'm going, only where I'm supposed to get off. I don't even know if that's the right side of the road to get off. And as is often the case, you can't ask a service user, because they'll just say, I don't know. Or they'll say, I do know. And they don't. But what you can do, what you learn later in life, is when you get to the said destination, they often just walk off in the direction they know to go. Just don't ask. If you ask them for an explanation, that will just confuse the situation. Because you did try getting Demon Girl onto the bus.
I did. And then, if I remember rightly, they started hitting someone and I had to apologise, didn't I? I swear they hit someone in the queue, because literally the queue wasn't moving fast enough onto the bus.
Yes.
And we were like, I was going, right, this is the last attempt now, Dave. We're going to get them on this bus. We're going to get back safe. And it just didn't work. They just kept hitting the people. And why are they not moving? Why are they not moving? So I was just like, Dave, just like off you go. And obviously they didn't give us any work mobile. So we're there like, trying to manage the situation, then trying to call and say, right, they're having a little bit of an incident. We're going to wait here. It's all diffused. Trying to do your professional care bit, because you've got Andover Town Centre all looking at you. They're screaming and going off.
I can still remember you saying to this girl, okay, this has happened before, and you know what happens when you do this. Mum and Dad ground you. You don't get any money, and you won't be allowed to come out with us when we do a shopping trip for about 4 weeks. And then we're going to have to get a taxi, and that's going to come out of your money, and it's going to cost more.
Yeah.
You can fucking die. Fucking die. And I'm like, I'll get on the bus then, shall I? Go, driver, go. Go, driver. Don't look back. Just put your foot down.
Save yourself, Dave. Save yourself. Don't worry about me.
Yeah, I was gone, mate. I was just like, fuck it. I mean, it was a baptism of fire. But
it really was.
And the other thing as well, like, I then, like I said, got off at the pub, A service
Yeah.
user did know, just started wandering off, and it's like, well, they all three of them did, and I was just like, well, they're all going in the same direction, and then luckily, eventually, we turned the corner, and I could see the day centre, right? And I walk in, and no one was interested. No one even asked how it went. No one even decided to
No
count.
one's going, how's Ross? Where's Ross? Where is he?
So I mean, nobody noticed you were missing. Nobody noticed the service users were missing. Nobody even noticed that they didn't actually know me, and I've turned up with 3 service users.
just blend into the background. So
Yeah, and I remember turning up one day and literally sitting in the main hall for most of the day because nobody knew what I was there for.
That sounds about right. That sounds,
about right. And they're like, "Oh, we don't have anything for you to do," and I just well, I didn't complain. I'm getting paid, but it's just like. Somebody from the office has rang the agency and asked for a support worker to be sent in.
Yeah.
Which costs a bloody fortune.
Oh, yeah.
And now I've turned up on time, as expected. Nobody knows why I'm here. And you don't know what you want me to do. And the only thing I didn't like about that is because sometimes all you could do, even if you were with service users, because especially back then, it wasn't kind of very session orientated. Is all you could really do was watch TV, but they never had a good subscription to a TV, and they never had a remote that worked well. So you was always just stuck on the one channel, and you were just watching whatever was on.
Yeah.
And I know you would literally pray for a service user to want to do something, but if you had that service user that was happy to watch TV.
Oh yeah,
you were in for a day where at the end of it you just had a migraine. Do you know what I
mean? There was one day I watched train videos all day.
Train videos.
Do you remember videos?
Oh
yeah, train videos it was, and it was like I'm not saying the member of staff, but like service users love it. And I was like, do they really?
I remember one day. This was at the second day centre where you and I reconnected together.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been there long, and so they're all going to sit down. And to clarify, to be fair, sometimes when people are off sick, but service users still turn up, you're not allowed to cancel service users, so you can't divide them into small groups and go out and do individual things with them because there might only be 4 members of staff, but there actually might be as many as 25 service users. So you actually kind of have to keep them in a big hall and kind of monitor them all as best you can. And one of the best ways to do that is, unfortunately, disco karaoke or
art. Art was always a good one.
Yeah.
Get the paper out, do a bit of drawing.
Yeah, art, or let's watch a video. And I remember the first time, it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to go and watch a video. And I was just like, oh, fantastic. So I got down on my hands and knees, pulled out the drawer, and I'm like, video, I'm not watching that. I'm not, and they and I was quite excited because there are 50 videos in there. Do you know what I mean? Oh, VHS stuff.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something worth watching.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I didn't even have anything that was worth watching when it first came out.
No.
I mean, there was like 50 videos in there and 47 films I'd never heard of. But you know,
that's right.
You know, but they were that bad that they weren't even on normal. Like.
Yeah, you wouldn't even find them on a Freeview channel right down the end. They were bad.
Yeah, they were that bad. And
yeah,
you'd just be like,
they were.
So, and then of course somebody would pull out, a service user would miraculously pull out Mamma Mia from her bag.
Oh yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, fuck.
It's as if this movie's not going my way now. It's not going my way at all.
No. And of course, then they all sing along to the best bits. And there are no best bits in Mamma Mia. Do you know what I mean? And of course, you're stuck there.
I haven't even seen Mamma Mia 2, but I know I have seen someone where I work now. They've got Mamma Mia 2, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to watch Mamma Mia 2." I'm thinking, like, best books manual leave for that day.
This is what I mean. I'd gone I'd never seen it, had no interest in watching it.
Mm.
At one point, I think I knew all the lines before they were even spoken.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily, I somehow managed to suppress the memory, and it's just not there anymore. But I remember hearing when Mamma Mia 2 was coming out. I'm sure I vomited somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Just because of what happened to me in the day centre.
I know. It's scarred in regards to ABBA. Scarred.
Yeah, it just but yeah, that was Andover, and where you and I
Yeah.
for and the other session I remember, and I was just like, and please, I do I have to remind people you got to understand it was a very different era, and
Oh, so yeah,
resources
yeah.
resources were very tight,
Oh
and
yeah, they
and
were.
nobody, and there was nowhere for a lot of these people to go. So, um, and quite often it was just respite for their family and parents, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Especially lots of them were like elderly as well, so that they
yeah,
did need that kind of break. You know, it
yeah.
was not easy for them at all.
No, it was very, very, very difficult, and you basically had people like you and I who had nowhere else to go and work for different reasons.
Yeah, I haven't been DBS checked since, thank God. No, I'm
Yeah,
joking.
and
Yeah.
and this is the funny. So because I remember going out on this one, like so I said, oh, we're going out for a walk. I was
Oh
oh,
yes.
oh, this would be nice.
Yeah.
So we loaded them
Yeah.
all. I think it was a minibus. I can't remember if it was a
Yeah, that's
minibus.
it. Yeah, yeah, the minibus.
Yeah,
Yeah, minibus.
and we loaded them all into the minibus, and
Yeah.
basically drove quarter of a mile to a sports field and walked round it about 3 times.
Oh my God. I did that sports field. Yeah.
And this is what I know. It's like, so no, no, we're just going to walk around it. So, and basically,
Yeah.
the idea was that somebody had worked out 3 laps, 4 laps, or whatever, basically
Yeah.
took up the time of a session.
I know. It's crazy.
And come rain or shine, this is
Yeah.
what you were doing.
Or there was that time where you did a short walk like that, maybe like 2 laps, if depend on which member of staff you had, and then the rest of it you go, oh, let's just go for a drive, and just had like a drive round.
Well, that was my favourite. When I was at Wiltshire Council working at the Sarum Centre,
Yeah.
I was one of the few people who could drive the 14-seater minibus. And I was the only member of staff who was happy to do it. 'Cause it was a
Yes.
large minibus. It was a 16-seater or something like that, including the driver, and a twin axle thing. And that's why I said it was one of the best jobs I ever had, because like on a Wednesday, right, there was a period of time on a Wednesday, in the morning I'd take one group swimming at Durrington, and in the
Yeah.
afternoon I'd take another group swimming in Salisbury. So I'd turn
Oh
up for
yeah,
work.
I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd turn up for
Yeah.
work, load them all in because I was the only one that could drive the minibus, or who's happy
Yeah.
to drive the minibus. There was about four
Yeah.
of us who had a license that would cover the big minibus, and I was one of them. And the other three didn't want to do it, didn't want to drive the minibus, didn't want to. So every day, at least on a Wednesday, it was twice a day. But apart
Yeah.
from that, every day I was in this minibus driving people around. And
Yeah.
I had things like, driving to the New Forest, take people, oh, mate, it was brilliant. 14 service users on a minibus. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I just drove everywhere. I loved it. You know what I mean? And you take them to
Yeah.
all sorts of places. And, there were days I'd turn up and I couldn't believe I was getting paid.
Yeah. But I was going to say that was the difference between that day center and the other day center. But, yeah.
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 But
Honestly, yeah.
but it was also the difference. There was a difference in years as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there
You're
was.
jumping
Yeah.
forward. There was a massive leap and change in care worker from around about. It kind of did start around the mid noughties, around 2005, 2006. But the
That's
impact
it.
in day centres wasn't until about 2010.
9, 10. Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Where everybody had caught up with actually what is it with the ideas were coming through, but nobody really knew what they were, and nobody had tried to
Yeah.
put them into practice.
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. No. Yeah. And then it was strange though, because then I went somewhere after the day center that was more backwards than the day center. Unbelievably.
I know.
Not, I mean, we're not naming places, but I mean, literally, Brian got told off one day because he sat in another member of staff's chair. They just like stared, just like, just get out of my chair. It was like, yeah.
I know. This is what I mean. He's just like, because there were places that if they didn't have, how can I put it, a large amount of staff,
Yeah,
there was no accountability.
that's right. Yeah.
So they could kind of just carry on. And I'm assuming you're talking about a certain residential place.
Yeah, I
Where
am. Yeah,
people
yeah.
used to sleep over a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, and of
And
course,
sleep and sleep during the day, anytime.
yeah. But what I mean is it was very well known for its respite.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, like you say, because the thing is that
Yeah.
these
It's
people,
such.
service users,
Yeah.
go to these places to actually give their families a break,
Mm.
and it's real. It's weird. It's kind of like a would a hotel be a good way to because that you
I mean,
some
I
people
guess the
live there, don't they?
idea.
Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah, nobody lives there. I guess the idea is that it's like a hotel,
yeah.
but all in all, it's really far from the hotel experience as you can get. I mean, I'm sure there's some real good respite centers out there, but this one that I worked at, no, it
No,
was,
because that's what I mean. Yeah, to give people an idea, what we mean by the particular respite center we're talking about is um, nobody is a permanent resident.
that's
You
right.
you might
Yeah,
stay for a weekend, you might stay for a week. Sometimes certain people only stayed on certain nights, but it might be
yeah,
quite regular.
yeah,
Then other people might be there for 2 weeks.
yeah.
And sometimes you're there for 2 weeks so that mum and dad can go away for 2 weeks on a holiday,
That's
and the
yeah,
family can have a
yeah.
break as often. But the problem with that is the people that were managing
Mm.
that area in particular were
Well, believe it or not, I found out, like, not that we're gossiping here, but I
no,
found out allegedly that,
allegedly,
like, well, I'm going to say allegedly because it'll be on the podcast, isn't it? And if they're listening, I mean, what are the chances of that? But half
allegedly.
of them had, allegedly, yeah, they had no care qualifications or anything, allegedly.
But do you have to have any?
Well, I thought you did to be like a manager because obviously back in those days it was CQC registered, and I thought you used to have to
The
have specific
yes,
criteria. I
yes,
know obviously it's eased now over time, and you can be a manager and you can be working towards it. But yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't.
no,
Yeah,
because but it's interesting though you say that because one of the people that you would know that I obviously I'm not saying about,
we'll
but
talk
you
about
would
that off
know,
air.
yeah. But basically, I saw them the other week when we were out for a dog walk. So it's right.
Okay,
This one's safe. Yeah, we don't need to say allegedly for this one, Dave. We're all right. And I didn't I
it
didn't
definitely
realize it.
happened.
Yeah. So someone from like the management team, a little bit up, that the wife used to work where I used to work. And basically, like they now divorced, got a bit messy, potential affairs, allegedly. Anyway,
Alleged
um,
affairs.
yeah, allegedly. But didn't even recognize me. And like Reg, our dog, literally went up to sniff their dog. Didn't recognize, and I'm like, I know who you are, and I was like, this is a bit embarrassing. And like, when you have that awkward thing of like, do you say hello? Do you remember me? It's like, or you just. So I just did that like polite thing, like, oh yeah, lovely, hi, yeah, bye. That's it.
That
Get in the
would be
car.
no. That would
But I was like, what a snub. I worked there for 4 blinking years.
that yeah that would upset me. But that does kind of like highlight what it was like working in these places. Because, like I said, I mean,
Yeah,
different day centre, different place. But when we were in Andover, I turned up for a
yeah.
week, and nobody really knew why I was turning up. And I was just like,
No,
you keep phoning the agent, and somebody was requesting me by name, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to
yeah,
challenge it because I'm an agency worker. If I don't go to work, I don't get paid.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and somebody was requesting me by name. And then, but
Oh,
I turn up and people didn't seem to know why I'd been called.
oh
Yeah.
well,
So
that's always an interesting one.
at which point you just wander off into the, well, I'm here now. And you just wander off and make yourself a cup of tea.
Yeah, yeah, and enjoy it. But no, it has. It's certainly come a long way from like those like disaster days to,
I,
you know.
there's a guy that, I won't go to name it. And this isn't day center related. It is, but there was a person that I worked for who was living in a residential home. And as you know, after I left Wiltshire Council, that I went back to what I did before, which is working with people with head injuries. And
Mm,
so my job, along with some other people, was to help get his rehabilitation up to a level that we could try him living in his own home with a supported living package.
yeah, yeah,
And so I would turn up at this care home where he was living with all these other people that had predominantly had mental health issues.
Yeah.
and this is about 10 years ago. So this is, and it was a private care home, and I think things have changed now because he isn't there now, so I don't know. But I turned up one day and there's like 20 residents all sitting in this like big, like that big lounge communal area.
Yeah, the big,
Lounge,
yeah.
The token goldfish tank with green water in the corner.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And they're there staring at the walls, staring at the TV that's not switched on. And they're just
Yeah.
literally just staring at nothingness.
Yeah.
And I just randomly said, does the TV not work? No, the TV works. It doesn't go on until 6 o'clock. And I'm like, why can't you put the TV on? And straight up they went, because they'll just sit there and watch it all day. And I'm looking around at 20 people staring at each other and staring at the wall.
Yeah.
But they're not allowed to sit and watch TV and that was the mentality. And I was just like, oh, Jesus, we got to get him out of here quickly. But
yeah, no, it has all changed, I think.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
So, just kind of ignore everything in regards to, anyone thinking about going to care. Maybe skip past this one.
You and I have done very well working in care work, but we
in all fact, we have.
We come. So yeah, actually, what is this? Because I'm going to have to get you back on the podcast. Hang on, before we start about your new job, because we've actually been talking for an hour. And
yeah.
So I need to get. I'll just to let you know, I want you now back on the podcast because I want to actually talk to you about Way Out Radio.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about Way Out Radio.
No, we haven't talked about your podcast and your radio show. You and I just went off gossiping.
No, don't worry. Yeah. Well, we didn't go gossiping, just reminiscing.
Reminiscing, yeah. Where is it you working now?
So at the moment I'm working for a charity based in Bournemouth, Learning Disabilities charity. And I do you know what? I think we've got policies where I'm not allowed to tell you where I work. So okay. I'm not being difficult. I know we're not allowed to put it on social media and stuff. So
that is quite common though, isn't it? But what is the role now then?
So I'm now a service manager for 2 homes with 6 residents of learning disabilities. I'm managing a staff team of about 12.
Nice.
On a day-to-day basis. So obviously I've got one team coordinator which works between 2 properties, but yeah, they haven't been with the manager for a while, so it's been quite nice to actually kind of pick up their spirits because of course COVID, they've felt kind of a bit demotivated. So it's gone in. Fresh start, and it's going good. Yeah.
Do you have to drive down there every day?
Yeah.
Oh, why?
I've had my COVID vaccine. I've not gone weird yet, so
I had my COVID vaccine. I was rough. I was ill.
Oh well, our service users were because they had the other type. They had the AstraZeneca.
Yeah, that's what.
So they were rough on that, but I've had the Pfizer. So.
Oh, it's like that, is it?
Yeah, it is. It's like that.
Right. Well, that's a wonderful place to end the podcast.
Yeah. No, it is.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Dave. Cheers.